Bam! What is going on, Pod fam? What's going on, Pod Houston? Podcast influence, everybody who's watching this on the YouTube channel. Happy Monday to ya. How you doing? We are officially back live. And where you been? Where you been all my life? Missed you. I missed you. I feel like I need to dust off the mic rust from this microphone because I feel like it's been a minute since I've done a live stream. And prior to, well, the last live stream and then spring break hit, and that was like a full week that like completely hijacked my life. And then after that, it was basically a week to recover, catch up with coaching clients, and just business as usual. But I miss doing this. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine texted me, he's like, "Dude, what's happening here? You got to be consistent. You got to do this live stream, rain or shine." I'm like, "I know, man. I know. I felt bad. I know. I need to practice what I preach because we do have to stay consistent with the things that we do, right? And part of like what I do is sharing with Pod Houston and everybody in podcast influence. And so thank you for holding me to the fire, Alex. Had a couple of friends that were like, "Yo, what's that? What's up with the live stream, man? What's happening?" But anyhow, let me know how you're feeling if you're tuning in today. Happy Monday to you. How are you feeling on this beautiful Monday? If you are in Houston, and I see you, Jesus. Good morning, brother. Appreciate you checking it out. If you are tuning in for the first time, let's see if we can do this. Can we do? No, that's not going to work. Yeah, if you're in Houston, it's a beautiful day, although it's getting warmer, I feel like every day. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm not, I like warm weather, but Houston warmth gives you a little scare because we know what's coming, right? So I'm a little worried, y'all. I'm a little worried. So anyhow, let me know how you guys are doing today. Let me know how you're feeling on this Monday. I feel like the internet is right now caught up in all the drama that occurred last night. Honestly, I didn't watch the Oscars at all. And I woke up with the news of getting jiggy with it, getting way too jiggy with it, and jumping on stage and doing that to Chris Rock. I mean, it's been crazy. So the internet right now has been flooded on Twitter. I was going on Twitter and I was checking out my Facebook news feed early this morning, and that's all I saw. Like, do you feel me? Like, is that basically what you're seeing today on your live stream on your news feed? Is just everything that occurred last night? Everybody sharing their opinions on what happened at the Oscars. Everybody's chiming in. It's just like, man, how can we get any other content outside of what happened last night? But we're doing it though. We're gonna do it. We're gonna make it happen. No drama today in this live with Vibe with Ozil, but we're gonna keep it drama free. Drop some value and share some news with you on what's been happening in the podcasting world. But yeah, so again, if you are tuning in, I'm gonna just look at the comments. I'm gonna go and share a few things with you today because we do have an agenda, and then we'll drop in with the comments. But if you have anything you want to share, you have any questions towards the end, we can definitely get to them in a bit. All right. So listen, the reason why I wanted to do this particular live stream about this topic is because podcast movement happened last week, which some of you may or may not know, but podcast movement is the biggest podcasting conference in the world. And they've been going strong for like, I want to say the last 6 years. And I had a couple friends that attended the event. And during this event, actually it was the beginning of the event, kicked off with this research study that happens every year. And it happens, let's see, let me go and drop this on them real quick. Yeah. So it happens every year, and it's conducted by the Edison Research Infinite Dial. And it's a survey uh, they pretty much, and I'll talk a little bit about what they do, but they cover a lot of topics of digital marketing, the latest trends in digital marketing, social media, etc. And they're top notch. They're top dogs when it comes to this. And this information, I think a lot of podcasters always look forward to seeing the latest data, some of the latest trends. This helps us sometimes, for the most part, help us, maybe change a few things, just see how just consumer behavior is growing and what we can do as podcasters, and just be aware of the research and data, right? I think it's always important to understand what the market is going through, and where it's going to next. So, and today I want to share with you something. Hold on one second. Give me a second, y'all. Boom, 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 boom. And I see you. I don't know who commented, but yeah, good seeing you as well. I'm not sure. Again, you can give StreamYard permission to drop a comment. So please come and say hello, my friend. Good to see you. Somebody there. Okay, so I did this little Google slide for you. Is podcasting growing, or is it pod fading away? Is the topic of today's show. And let's talk about it, because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine not too long ago, and it was like, yo, man, a lot of people are doing, video. Do you feel like that is the next wave? Do you feel like that's what we need to focus on? And, my answer is there's always going to be a space for audio, there's always going to be a space for video, and they all serve its purpose. Even blogging, right? The written format. There's a lot of people who still appreciate the written format. There's people who gravitate towards the audio. They listen, they consume, they retain more information through audio, and also video as well. So they all play a role in this space. So hold on one second. Boom, boom. Hold on. Hell yeah, I can't blow up if you don't put in the reps. That's right, Alex. That's why I've been back in the gym, bro. I'm back in the gym after like a week and a half, putting in the reps, man. So that's why I'm back doing the live stream. So I'm in it, man. Jesus dropping in here saying good topic. Yeah, my man. Especially you being in this space. I think you're dealing with a lot of clients, and you're doing a lot, live streaming, a lot of podcast production. So it's good to know, man, what's happening in the latest trends in this industry. Alex, going nowhere anytime soon. Good to see you, Alex. I can always definitely count on Alex, my good friend, all the way from Austin, to hold me accountable on the live stream. He's been telling me, by the way, that I should really not only be consistent with live streaming, but also like really level up on all aspects, like get a stream deck and get, really, upgrade the gear, which is coming, guys, because I really enjoy doing this. And I mentioned this previous live streams. I really enjoy doing this. I get a lot of joy out of this. I love podcasting, but there's something about the live stream, something about just like the natural flow of things and having these conversations with you that really lights me up like no other. Like it's almost kind of like being on stage doing public speaking, but not quite. But that same energy, it's just like vibing. Of course, I can't see you and feel your energy, but I see your comments and I see that you're, tuning in. So all that really just really pumps me up, and I'm really excited about that. So if you're tuning in, like I said, I appreciate you just showing up. I know it's 11 a.m. A lot of people work. I get a lot of people that catch this on the replay. This time works for me on Mondays. I like to kick it off on Mondays early in the morning because my afternoons get a little nuts. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. What is up, Facebook user? What's up? I don't see your name. I just see Facebook user on my end. So drop your name. Let me know who this is so I can give you a well-deserved welcome. Hold on one second. Okay, cool. So let's get back to the topic at hand. Is podcasting growing or fading away? Is the question. Let's talk about Infinite Dial. I mentioned Infinite Dial, and just to kind of give you guys the scoop on what they do and what they represent. The Infinite Dial is America's longest survey running company, digital media consumer behavior company in America. They track annually since 1998, so they've been in the game for quite some time. Uh, they unveiled the latest research in digital audio, social media, mobile, smart speakers, and podcast consumption. So they really dive deep into the research to, and a lot of big companies refer and really appreciate what they do because it gives us a really great overall view and also some details on where the podcast industry specifically is going and growing. So that's that. John G. Oh, what's up, John? What's going on, buddy? Hope I get to see you tomorrow. John G in the house. Every single time I see John G is like, if y'all don't know, he's been to probably the majority of our Pod Houston events, right, John? If you're in town, so yeah, man, shout out to you, John. You're always super supportive, man, and I appreciate you, buddy. Okay, so again, Infinite Dial, the real deal when it comes to research, data, and studies in the podcasting industry. So just to give you a little bit of context. So I'm going to go over some of the things to share with you, and this is again the latest, y'all, the latest trends, data, research points that are happening in the podcasting space. So pay attention to this. Super, super uh, insightful, and I learned a lot as well just going through this. 62% of those over ages 12 in the US, an estimated 177 million people have ever listened to a podcast. That's up from 57% last year. In-car podcast listening also showed growth. 32% of those ages 18 and up have ridden in or driven in a car in the last month now listen to podcasts in a car compared to 30% last year. So 2% growth. 38% of those ages 12 and older in the US are monthly podcast listeners in the current study, down from 41% in the Infinite Dial 2021 survey, but still higher than 2020, which was at a 37%. Monthly podcast listening saw growth year over year among those ages 35 to 54. And as of 43% are now monthly podcast listeners, up from 39% in 2021. This was a really interesting insight as well. You know, you guys know, and some of you may be using TikTok. I have some friends that are like, yo, why aren't you marketing on TikTok? What's happening, Ozio? Because I started a TikTok channel, but I just haven't been consistent on there. Again, when you're in this space, you're coaching, you're building a business, you know, you run yourself thin a little bit, and it's tough to kind of be all over the place. You know, they all play a major role in marketing and sharing content, but it can be challenging. I want to be real with you, right? Some of you who run businesses know what I'm talking about. Usually the people that are crushing are the ones that, like Matt, either they're really strategically and very, very just got their productivity down, or they have a team that they could allocate time and resources to be on different platforms at once. So it's a little difficult, I'm not going to lie, but I thought that this was a very revealing stat here that TikTok usage has soared, with 36% of those in the US over the ages 12 currently using the social media services. This is a 57, my friend, increase over the last year. Major, major leap, placing it third for overall social media research or social media reach, behind Instagram and Facebook. Okay, those are the other two big dogs. Among those ages 12 and 34, 61% use TikTok, second only to Instagram at 72%. Among those ages 35 to 54, TikTok now surpasses Pinterest, Twitter, Snapchat. Who uses Snapchat? Do you use Snapchat? And LinkedIn with 34%. Even LinkedIn with 34% of those in the US ages 35 and 54 using TikTok. That's crazy. So, you know, you looking at like the demographics of the TikTok users, it surpasses LinkedIn and Twitter, which is like a true bona fide social media platform. So TikTok is definitely, you know, something not to ignore. And I know a lot of the social media gurus have talked about the importance of incorporating TikTok and creating content on TikTok to market your services, to share your message, to build community on there. And again, the proof is in the research. in that TikTok is becoming a heavyweight when it comes to marketing and social media in general, and the attention is there. So I thought that this was a very, very insightful information for you to consider. So for my fellow podcasters, content creators, it's safe to say that the advice should be you should consider having a TikTok strategy to market your brand, to get your voice out there, and to build a platform on there. So let me know in the comment section, what are your thoughts on TikTok? Are you using TikTok? Do you find it like just a time waster? I know when I go on TikTok, I find myself more on IG Reels, but I know my brother's always sending me like a bazillion TikToks and Reels like every hour, I believe. And I enjoy them. Like I go down the rabbit hole and start watching them. So I know, people love TikTok. Again, I'm not a huge, huge fan, but I do see the merit and the value of being on TikTok to market your message. So let me know in the comment section if you're catching this, and also you can hashtag replay. Let me know if you are using TikTok, and I'm curious to know. Like, put your TikTok handle, right, your account. I could follow you, and I would like to see what you're doing. And of course, if you're using it to market your podcast, excuse me, please, I'm curious to know, because I would love to actually have somebody to teach a master class on how to use TikTok to market their podcast. Excuse me, I need to drink more water. Pause. How you doing? No coffee today, by the way. 2 cups of black coffee. I was considering making tea. I feel like I'm always drinking something. Have something with drinking. Some of you may or may not know, but I'm always drinking something. Like I'm drinking kombucha. If it's not kombucha, it's like wine or coffee or whiskey every now and then. Every now and then, but I'm always drinking something. So I told myself, look, no drinking tea this time or coffee for sure. Just stick with good old water. So anyhow, TikTok. TikTok is where it's at, y'all. Okay, let's talk about some other highlights. 35% of those in the US over 12, an estimated 100 million, now own a smart speaker. So the smart speaker consumption and community, that whole market is growing. Amazon remains the dominant brand as 23% of Americans own an Amazon Alexa, 11% own a Google Nest, and 2% own an Apple HomePod. Consumers may own multiple brands. So again, it's definitely growing. Audio-based social media platforms are beginning to become more well-known. So 12% of those in the US ages over 12 aware of Twitter Spaces, which is another social audio platform, 10% aware of Clubhouse, and 9% aware of Green Room, which I believe that is Spotify's platform. So social audio is definitely still growing. It's still there. A lot of people were thinking that after Clubhouse, the hype was going to die out, and it did die out to a certain respect, but it's still huge. People are still gravitating towards social audio and connecting with their community. Audiobook listening stayed flat. I thought this was a big one because the audio book industry has been booming. It's a $1 billion industry, but it actually stayed flat at 45% of those ages over 12 in the U.S. have ever listened to an audiobook. 39% of Americans over 12 have no radios in their household. And 50 cent, no surprise there. And 57% of those ages 12 and 34 have no radios in the house. So a sharp contrast with 14 years ago when 4% of the US ages 12 and over population had no radios. 73% of those in the US over 18 who have ridden in or driven in a car in the last month use AM, FM radio as an audio source in car, far outpacing the next closet audio source owned digital music used by 53%. So those are some other data points from the research study. And I thought that this was interesting. Let me pause real quick. I'm going to share your comment, Alex. He says, I can't get into TikTok. I get the format and why it's appealing to a lot of people. Hmm. Why don't you? Why can't you get into TikTok? I'm curious to know, Alex. What about it you don't like? Let me know. Okay. So, voices of diversity. This is the one that I was really like, I really appreciated. I was like, oh man, this is dope that they actually did go into some research regarding the diversity of podcasters. And I thought this was dope. Hispanics make up 16% of monthly podcast listeners compared to 11% in 2017. So it's definitely increased. Blacks now comprise 16% of the audience, up from 12% in 2017. Asian Americans account for another 3% as the proportion of white listeners has fallen from 66% to 59% during the past 5 years. So, podcasting, the diversity in podcasting, African American community, the Latino community, the Asian American community, and even in different other subcultures has increased. So I know I've noticed this, that I know like in some places, um, even now we're having sectors where it's like, the African American podcasting community, the Latin community, and we're seeing a lot of people in different spaces building networks and building circles and really contributing to the diversity of podcasting. And I think that's dope. I think that's amazing. I think that, podcasting, not only is it just an opportunity to connect and share stories, but it's open dialogue. There's a freedom of speech element where we're open to create this platform and invite other opinions and other people's perspectives and bring it so we can learn from each other and grow together, right? As a society, as humanity. So I think I love the idea that more and more minorities are gravitating towards podcasting as an opportunity to be able to share um, their experiences, unique experiences, and share that to the world, and have the opportunity to just again educate and inspire other people, and invite other voices of diversity to the platform. So I think it's just a beautiful thing that we're seeing, and I think that's just something that we're going to continue seeing growing. I predict that it's going to grow. I think we're going to see more uh, diversity in podcasting. I know there's a lot of big organizations that are also very interested in investing in voices of diversity. And also, like, I know the Spanish community, the Spanish speaking community in Latin America, it's growing. Apparently, I think I read somewhere that the Hindi community, like in India, podcasting is popping over there. Like, apparently it's growing. And I think it's dope that there's a lot of people in that region that are now starting their podcast in their native language. So I think it's still early, but I think there's a great opportunity, especially for like the Spanish speaking community, and of course in other parts of the world, excuse me, to be able to not only educate, but to empower and to motivate other people from all parts of the world to start podcasts, and I think that's dope. So we're going to continue seeing that. So I thought this was very, very revealing. Okay, let me pause here real quick. Boom, boom, boom. Alex, you responded, man. You haven't heard video kill the radio star. Ooh, bro. I don't know, man. You're going to spark something here, but I agree with you. I agree with you. Absolutely. The short format media has never been my thing. I watched a few videos, but I guess I'm aging out of that demographic because I get annoyed with most downloads. Here's one thing that I'm seeing about TikTok that I do find fascinating, and I think it's really interesting to see, especially like in the youth, Alex, and everybody watching, is that TikTok is you're seeing like TikTok and even like live streaming, but specifically like short form content. You're seeing like a lot of talented, like you're seeing, 12, 13, 14-year olds cultivate these killer video editing skills, man. Like some of the stuff that I see on TikTok, I'm like, how in the world are they editing videos like that? So, one good thing that's coming out is that now these young creators, the young demographic, they're picking up these skill sets that are going to be vital to the success of this creator digital economy that we're going towards, this metaverse, right? So I think one of the things, especially for us older folks, is really understanding and learning, even the basics of creating, impactful, entertaining, informative short form content, because that's where it's going, Alex. I feel like, I'm with you. I'm still watching, 10, 15-minute videos, but I'm not going to lie. Like, I really think that it's a brilliant idea for, and I'm seeing this where, like, I know Joe Rogan did this, but I'm seeing even in the Spanish community I saw recently, that there's a lot of like podcasters that are doing, video podcasters that are doing long form content. And what they're doing now is they're cutting into short form and then just taking bits and pieces that are maybe like 5 minutes. And then they're answering one specific question. And then they're creating a thumbnail. It's a long form interview, but they're cutting it down. They're repurposing and chopping it down. And as a matter of fact, that's why Reels and IG, Reels is taking off. And a little birdie told me recently that, and they're really big into YouTube, that YouTube now, and I know there's always been YouTube Shorts, and that's a thing, but now YouTube is really pushing YouTube Shorts for that reason alone, because they understand that the attention span has gotten shorter. And in one way, I'm like, man, it's going to be sad because it's going to get super competitive. But at the end of the day, I think, obviously message and if you're providing value, you're going to create your audience, period. But I think we're going in a short form content type of world, when it comes to consumption. If you, I know they did a study not too long ago, and they said that the sweet spot, I think it was Buzzsprout, that like 22 minutes is the sweet spot for an average podcast listen. So after 22 minutes, that's what they were saying, people opt out. So I know with just being mindful of the content and just getting direct to the point, getting right to it. That's why if you notice, like if you see a lot of YouTubers, they'll say, "Hey guys, in this video, you're going to do this." So it's like getting right to the point. Um, so like there's not going to be no room for long-windedness for me. You know what I mean? Like unless it's like a live stream, people will, vibe and really, be able to listen and vibe. But even now, right? So I'm seeing people like come and go and come and go, but that's the attention span, right? People are moving. Like you may be working right now, you may be working out, you may be going for a walk, and you can't stay throughout this whole session. And that proves a point that people are now, the attention span and the where the content is going is that as a content creator, as a podcaster, we have to think about, we need to be a little bit more precise, have more like context, and be mindful of not getting too fluffy and putting too much of long-windedness, if you for lack of a better word, and getting right to the point. I think people are gravitating towards that. I think the ones that are more established can kind of vibe a little bit, like this live stream. Again, we're live and vibing. We can go a little bit and extend the conversation, which is the reason why I love live streaming, because it gives the creator the opportunity to really expand on the conversation and share like, raw thoughts, candid thoughts. But when it comes to like TikTok content creation and YouTube and Reels, like if you know it, it's very packaged well, and great editing skills, great message, and it's get right to the point. And that's where people are going. So I'm curious to know like your thoughts, guys. If you guys are catching this again, if you catch us on the replay, let me know like what are your thoughts on short form content creation? Do you think that's the future of content creation as it relates to podcasting? Or do you feel like um there's still going to be room for long form content? Like let me know. I'm curious to know like your, like let's say your YouTube consumption behavior. Like, are you still watching like long live streams? Are you still watching videos that are, over 10 minutes? Or is it just more like TikTok and Reels and shorts? I'm curious to know. But you know what, Alex, going back to what you said, the video killed the radio star. It's true, man. And I think there's always going to be a transition. But if you think about this, brother, like, radio has morphed. And now some can say that, and I agree, that podcasting has replaced radio in some ways, right? In major ways, right? Because of the money that's coming in and the attention that podcasting has been getting, obviously, with the stats that we're sharing today. But, you know, again, podcasting is very also curated, the conversation's open, but the content is curated, and it's on demand radio, which we're living in a very convenient, loving society, which is the reason why people love podcasting, which is the reason why a lot of people who are on radio are now doing podcasts, or they're on YouTube because they know that the consumer wants on demand. It's just not like I'm going to plug in at 6 a.m. and listen to your radio show now. That's been challenged lately. So I think that's super important to point out. But yeah, man, video I think it is the future. But I think the podcasting space, we're seeing podcasting now getting blended with video, and I think there's going to be a lot of room for blending the both and appealing to different audiences because people do still love audio. My boy Eric Vid Houston in the house. Eric, so great to see you, brother. Eric Calderon, check out his YouTube channel. He says there is still room for long form content, plain and simple. And Eric, I agree with you. I think that there's still definitely room for long form content. I'm still watching YouTube channels that are over 10 minutes. And I think that especially when it comes to, I think it's all about context. I think there's context. I think as long as it's contextual, I think there's always going to be room for long form content, with whether it's vlogging or, and you see it because, Eric works with a lot of YouTubers. So you get to see the analytics on watch time and when are people, tuning out. But I think I'm still in love with long form content. Absolutely, man. I think there's definitely still room for it. It's just I feel like the social media like TikTok and reels and the shorts. I mean, it's just in and out, right? And I think that having a combination of the two, I think it's the right move to go. I think it's the right strategy. Boom. Good stuff. Reggie in the house. What's up, Reggie? My fellow growth advocate, coach, Growth Times Infinity podcast, my boy, awesome motivational speaker, podcast influence insider. He drops in and says, I prefer when content creators get to the point under 20 minutes. No more than 30 is good enough for me. I mean, exactly what I'm saying, bro. You prove the point. You prove the point. And I believe, Reggie, your podcast is short form. So, yeah, I mean, I just think that, to the point is, I think if you're vibing, if you're sharing, again, I think live stream is going to be the long form kind of video format. And this is kind of like what I'm thinking right now. I'm just vibing with you right now. I think live stream, you can flow. You can get into it, right? People get in it, people get out, people catch the replay, may not get hits, may not get subs, whatever. But this is like our opportunity as creators to really vibe, right? To just kind of flow. But when it comes to like content creation, as a matter of fact, okay, so let me finish that up. As far as content creation, I think having curated, contextual, concise, all the C's, content, another C, I think it's the way to go. Even if it's technically short form, but I think I forgot what I was going to say. Live stream, y'all, live stream. But my whole point again, I think there's going to be so long form with live streaming. Oh yeah, even with long form curated content, Eric, as you know, you create a lot of that content as well. I think there has to be some sort of context, unless it's like a vlog where you're just kind of flowing with it. But there needs to be some sort of context. And I think when it comes to creators, I think the more contextual minded you are, I think the better. And that comes from, your thumbnail or your podcast title, the way you market your podcast. If you let people know, like, this is a single-minded message this podcast episode is going to deliver to you, I think that's going to be the move. I think that's what's going to attract people in. They want to get in. They want to get their dose of inspiration, of information, and education. They want to get in and they want to get out. And then I'm not sure if I talk about this because I feel like I've kind of veered away from the presentation here. Is I think people are still in the survey they still notice that hasn't changed that on average people are listening to 8 podcast episodes, or not 8 podcasts on a monthly basis or something like that down the line. So there's like, yeah. So you as a consumer, you probably listen to 8 podcasts or more, right? Maybe. So, but they did the study and that's what they discovered is that. So that being said, it's not, I don't want to say competitive, but we are, vetting for attention at the end of the day. So something to keep in mind, just short form, especially with audio. I think audio is definitely short form is the way to go. Okay, so let me show you this chart. Let me know how you guys feeling. You guys getting any value from this? Is this pretty some good stuff? And I'll make sure that I link this research study underneath this live stream thread. That way, you guys can check out and look at the study on your own. I mean, really, really cool, insightful data and some great information. I was really like, I was all about it when they released it. I was all just like reading through it and really trying to think about where it fits with where the community and where I fit as someone in the space, as a coach, etc. So let me know how you guys feeling today. What's going on? What do you think so far? What are some of the highlights? What are you excited about? Also, start thinking about. I'm curious to know what is. Let me ask you this: where do you see the future of podcasting going? Put it in the whether you're a consumer, Alex. I know you're not a podcaster, but I'm curious to know as a consumer, where do you see podcasting going? Eric, I know you work with podcasters, so I'm curious to know, guys. Also, anybody in the replay, let me know where do you see podcasts going? Because as you can see, it's growing. So here's the chart. Monthly podcast listening. I was a bit kind of like, shocked about this one, but the experts bring up a good point. So as you can see, this is the monthly podcast listenership growth. And it dropped 2022. It went from 41% to 38%. It dropped a little bit. Experts are saying that's due to just post-pandemic. People are going back to work. So it's dropped a little bit. The society, this whole world is still in transition, and they contribute that to the drop from 41% to 38% of monthly podcast listenership. Thought that was really interesting. So podcast listening now. Check this out, y'all. This is really dope. 177 million have estimated to listen to podcasts. So this is the US population, y'all. So if you look at the stats, and I actually used to use this chart for my podcasts, public speaking, my presentations, and it's just amazing, even me seeing it, because I usually update my presentations, and I use this chart to let the audience know the growth of podcast within the last, since 2006. And it was at 11%. And now, 2022, it's at 62%. So over like the past 9 years, if you can see it, it's grown. Like it's a steady growth, right? No surprise. And I know we hear it. Everybody and their mom is starting podcasts, but just to see the actual data and see a visual of the podcast growth, it's pretty freaking amazing. It's pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. Like this is really exciting because again, when I started podcasting, it was actually like I knew about it maybe about 2020. I'm sorry, 2010. My bad. I started my first podcast like in 2012, 2011. My rough unpublished podcast. But I've always been in this space of like interviewing and creating content, but just to see it grow, and now it's at 62%. So pretty freaking amazing to see it grow. So, and that's the latest, 2022. I think that's it. Is that it? That was you? I think I wanted to keep it like concise, contextual, because there's a lot of more information they break down. They get into social media analytics and other things that are happening in the podcasting space. But again, I'll make sure that I'll post it in the show notes in the live stream, and that way you guys can check it out in the Pod Houston group. And if you haven't joined the Pod Houston email list, you can do so. Just DM me through Pod Houston, and I'll make sure that I drop this link for you guys to check out. So, boom. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you are thinking. I think that it's pretty freaking awesome just to see the growth. I'm still waiting for y'all to break down. Give me the latest. What do you think is going to happen with the podcasting community? Industry, rather. Is it obviously it's growing, right? It's not pod fading away, that's for sure. So I think we answer that. And hold on one second. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. So it's definitely growing. It's definitely on and popping. And I think it's going to continue to grow. My personal thoughts, like I said, again, I use this as a way to gauge the podcasting industry, some of the information I use to help me serve my clients better, like just to see where the trends are going in whether it's, the marketing strategy or helping them, guide them on what social media channels to be on, but also just gives me some new ideas, as far as where we can better serve our community. Alex dropping on here. Look at that. Boom. It'll grow, but it will get more saturated. Yeah, man. I mean, it already is. Some say it already is. And the question is, if it's becoming competitive and saturated, what can you do as a podcaster to really stand out from the crowd? And this could be like a completely different live stream, but I'll share with you just off the cuff. Like some things that you need to do is really focus on great branding, knowing your audience, making sure that the messaging is aligned with your branding, caring about your audience, making sure that this your podcast is not about you on a mic. And of course, I always talk about all you need is your mic and then your truth and you speak it, but keeping the audience in mind, meaning that if you are creating a podcast, you should always know that maybe you don't have the person in front of you, but you should always consider what am I bringing to the table? What is the type? What impact am I bringing to my listener? What is the value that I'm bringing to my audience? And I know we hear that a lot, but you'll be surprised. So many podcasters, even podcasters that reach out to me to get coached, how it's really all about them and it's very ego driven. And I get it. It's your show, and I know there's some ego attached. But if you don't have your audience in mind, it goes back to what is the single minded message I'm trying to share with my audience. If you make it about them, it's going to be a win. You're going to be successful, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time. But I think if you always keep your audience in mind, your podcast will be successful within time, in due time. So it's important to think about that. Okay. So those are kind of some things that you can really, really stand out. Another thing is having a really consistent social media strategy, whether it's TikTok, whether it's IG Reels. But I think, and I've talked about this before in previous live streams, that the podcasters or even like the YouTubers in this content creator economy, the ones that win are the ones that are not only consistent with their message and getting the work out there, but are the ones that are putting themselves out there a lot more, meaning that the personal brand has to really shine. Like we really want to hear more about what you have to say that's outside of the podcast platform or outside of the YouTube channel. Like we really want like these live streams, right? This is an opportunity for me. I want to be real with you, not only to share with the Pod Houston community and the Pod Influence community, but also for you to get to know more about how I think, and my philosophies and my thoughts and my way of thinking. And you may or may not agree with them, but I still have to share because I'm very passionate about this. And I don't think it's about right and wrong. It's simply about me showing up and me giving it to the community, right? Just sharing what I know, sharing what I read and what I, take from the online resources, etc. And then, and you run with it, and hopefully you can apply it and implement that in your social media strategy, in your podcasting journey, etc. So I think it's super important uh, to note that. So personal branding is going to play a major role. Okay, so I think podcasting is going to grow. John G, is that you? If so, how so? How is it going to grow? In what ways? Where do you see it going? Alex, once again, you have to be consistent and find a niche. Yeah, Alex, 1000%, man. I think if you look at people, and I think Alex, you mentioned something to me a while back, man. You were talking about some live streamers that talk about a different topics, and I actually had the honor of being on a podcast interview, which will be coming out in a couple weeks. Jan, if you're watching this at any point, shout out to you, Jan. I was on her podcast, Jan Tackles, and we started talking about the importance of niche. And I feel like it's an over um done topic, and I know a lot of some experts and it's people are saying, well, find your niche, niches isn't the riches. And I agree with all of that. I think it's super important to be able to discover your niche. But you mentioned this, Alex, you have to be consistent 1000%. Yeah, consistent. and then find a niche. And I want to say this because this is something that was brought up in the interview yesterday, that if you don't, if you can nail down your brand from the get go, then obviously you're off to the races, right? I think you're going to be in good standing with your audience, and you know who you're speaking to, and you're going to grow that brand. But I will say this: if you haven't discovered your niche and you're waiting to discover your niche in order to start a podcast, don't do that. Either you can hire a coach who can help you um, go through the questions and help you really discover that niche, that brand, and then that way you can spearhead the podcast from that angle, or you can, take some time to write down exactly what you're interested in. And I have some exercises that I do with my clients to help them discover their niche. However, I've had clients where we're like halfway through the coaching journey, and then we start asking more questions, and then we start discovering that it needs to be a completely pivot. Like it's completely off brand. Like we need to go here, not here. And we've been talking about this for 2 weeks or so, and then we need to make a pivot. So that happens as well. So it's okay to pivot and make changes. I think one of the things that is very fearful for a lot of people to create a niche. What is the thing that we all hear, right? Well, I don't want to just talk to this certain, demographic, or I don't want to just talk about this topic. I don't want to pigeonhole myself. And I think that we kind of dismantle that way of thinking and start thinking about, okay, it's okay to talk about different topics, but I think when you're starting off, it's good to be known for one industry and to get really focused on it. That way you can really grow that audience from small to big. And I think once it grows, and not only is your core audience growing with you, but you can expand to different conversations. You can get real broad, right? And then and grow that way. But I've also been challenged, and I'm going to put this out there. People will say, well, start broad. And I talked about this too, because I've done this before, where we start broad and then little by little, we start niching it down. And I've been doing that with a few coaching clients recently, and that's been working out. And then also kind of alleviates the stress and this pressure to make sure that you have one specific niche that you need to target. But keep the niche in mind. I think, but yes, I agree with you, Alex. I think finding a niche, if you look at all the successful YouTubers, and remember, all these YouTubers started within a niche, and then if you see them kind of talk about a bunch of things, that's because they've established themselves first and they built an audience first. But again, I think there's really no secret. At the end of the day, you have to keep niche in mind and keep your audience in mind. Boom, 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 boom. I think podcasting and content creation in general will become more niche specific. I agree. I think it's going to be more niche specific as well. Although I will say this, John, if you look at TikTok is based on interest, right? So that's another thing too. Like I had somebody who said, when you go on TikTok, man, make sure you talk about podcasting. But I've noticed, like, even some of the people that have grown on TikTok, it's very interest based. So I'm curious to see and curious to know, some of your thoughts. Maybe do you feel like, excuse me, content creation will be more interest based versus like one specific niche? It's going to be interesting. I don't know. Maybe, but I think, people I think the key here is just be consistent. And I think as long as you keep your audience in mind, you're educating, you're empowering, you're, edifying, you're bringing some type of value to people, people are going to follow you. And I think, people are going to follow you also just because it's you. There's only one Reggie, there's only one John G, one Alex. People really love that. People really love and bite onto the personal brand, which is the reason why I think that if you are a podcaster, you really gotta jump into the skin of like, how can I build my personal brand and share more of me that's outside of the podcast promotion space? I think what happens is that you see a lot of podcasters, but they only promote when they have a podcast, a new episode out. But you got to do like all the extra work outside of that to let people know, like, okay, Reggie and Alex and all this, there's much more to them than just podcast promotion and trying to market themselves. I think people really latch on to that. So something to keep in mind. Reggie dropped a good one. Let's go, Reggie. Reggie over here talking about I feel that podcasting listenership will definitely grow. As far as podcasting itself, my opinion is that there will be moments that it will seem saturated. So many people will attempt to do their own podcasting, but many of them will fall by the wayside because of pod fading. Just my opinion. Only the strong survive. Reggie, I freaking love that. That was the perfect answer to what Alex said earlier. It will be saturated. And I think there's no denying that, right? I think there's a lot of people jumping into the podcasting space. But that gives you perspective, right? That's perspective. How many of them are really going to be consistent and stick with it? How many of them are really serving their audience versus self-serving? How many of them are really investing and being mindful of building a brand, of building a community? Small percentage, right? Small percentage. So although there may be a lot of people jumping into the space or a lot of podcasters currently doing podcasts, but only a small percentage get it. Only a small percentage actually are doing it from a true, authentic, strategic, mindful way. That's truth. So Reggie, only the strong survive. I feel like I wish I had like a roadcaster, man, so I can hit that Rocky theme. Anyways, I don't know why I gave it like a hip hop swing. That sounds nothing like it, but I for some reason I hip hopped it. So Reggie, great point. Perspective. That's it, man. Love it. And then I think John G, this is you, right? I think it might be a combination of both interest based versus niche based. I agree. I agree with you, John. Well said. Cool. Woo, this has been fun, y'all. What time is it? What time is it, y'all? Oh, okay. So we're cutting. You know what? I thought I was gonna get in and out. I was like, I'm gonna share this. I'm gonna get in and out. But as always, this. Like live streaming is so much fun. That's another thing. If you're a podcaster, like try live streaming. Not only does it help you like just express yourself, but it helps you just like work through thoughts. I know for me, it's kind of like very therapeutic, and this is just fun. And not only that, but I get to kick it. Like that's why I called it live and vibe, because I wanted to just like go live and vibe with you guys. And I love just the interaction. And you guys are like bringing the questions and the insights and the personal thoughts. I love this, like conversation rules a nation, right? So anyhow, I'm going to continue showing up. If you continue showing up, and if you don't show up every Monday, then it's okay, because I'm going to be here to save the day. No, I'm just kidding. That was cheesy. That just flowed out the brainberry. That just came out. But you know what I mean. I am here just to serve. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to be a part of this amazing community. I do want to share something before I go, though. I spoke about this at our last podcast Influence Insider Mastermind. Let me share something with you. Hold up. Give me a break. Okay. So podcast Influence. One of the things that if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, if you dig the content, please head over and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I am going to be not only going live here on Mondays, live and vibe, but I'm also going to focus on creating content that is related yet unrelated to podcasting in the Podcast Influence YouTube channel, meaning that I've been having many conversations with myself. I had a conversation with my mastermind group about whether or not it was safe or made sense for me to talk about other things in the Podcast Influence and also in these lives that other topics that are really not technically podcasting based. And I had like another YouTube channel that I was going to focus on more development type of content that's more aligned with the podcast. No permission needed. Which, if you haven't subscribed, check out the podcast. Brand new episode today. A little shameless plug. But I was thinking about, like, what are some things that I need to, should I completely rebrand? You guys know that I'm very big on branding, or should I just keep it under the same umbrella? Number one, a friend of mine reminded me, like, yo, you have way too many brands to create another one. Which I wasn't going to create another one, but you know what I mean. So that being said, I'm going to be pumping out content in the Podcast Influence YouTube channel, also in the Pod Houston, but I may be going live an extra day. Yes, that's right. May be going live twice a week. And the other live, I may or may not stream it here in Pod Houston. If you guys want me to stream it here in Pod Houston, let's do it. But my intent is to be able to talk about topics that are related to, personal development, dealing with imposter syndrome, anxiety, this need to be perfect, other things that are very important or essential to being a successful content creator, but are not necessarily like, here are your podcasting tips and strategies. But I feel like some of the topics, and I feel like this is where I want this YouTube channel to be different from all the other podcasting YouTube channels, is that although they cover tech and tips and the latest gadgets, I want this YouTube channel to embody the creator, to embody leadership. I want this YouTube channel to talk about topics that are not talked about on other channels, like, cultivating a healthy mindset, the importance of, even the pressures of being consistent. And again, everything that I just mentioned, right? Imposter syndrome, anxiety. I have so many topics that I've written down that were going to be for a different channel, but I decided that I'm going to put it under the same Podcast Influence umbrella, because at the end of the day, I use the word influence. And when you are building an influential brand, there are many moving parts within that movement, so to speak, right? Uh, and I believe that mindset is the game. And as a matter of fact, I spend probably 80% of my podcast coaching pulling people off the ledge and really instilling and motivating them, and really reminding them of their own voice and their stories, and what makes them unique, and the fact that they are worthy, they are enough to start this podcast. Trust me, I mean, it's crazy, but it happens, and I get it. I mean, I totally get it. So again, I want to expand the conversation and talk about these topics on this YouTube channel, because I think it's a much needed topic. And so just wanted to give you the preview of what's going to happen moving forward with this YouTube channel. So again, if you are, I'm grateful. Like, I'm grateful for your time. So Reggie, Alex, Jesus, John G, anybody who tuned in, came in and out. If you catch us on the replay, the fact that you're watching, even if it's like 5 minutes of this, or if you watch it all the way through, I love you even more. But I'm really just passionate about sharing and showing up much, much more than I'm already am, and then serving my community. So here I am, going to be pumping out more content. You get the exclusive on the Podcast Influence channel. I'm going to be doing it live, and that's where I'm going next, is more live streaming and more other topics about mindset and personal development. So if you can dig that, let me know. Let me know how does that sound? Let me know. Would you tune in? Would you check it out? Yeah, I just don't want to turn anybody off with Pod Houston just because I know Pod Houston's like, give me the podcast stuff. But I feel like our community is different. Not only are we diverse, but there's a lot of great questions. And I know a lot of people ask questions about like podcasting and all that, which is essentially a podcast group. But I want to talk about other aspects that are just as important to the podcasting growth, to the podcaster, the creator, equally, to everything else that we're doing. Boom. Why play it? What do you mean? Did I say play? Alex, expound on that, my friend. What do you mean play? I missed up there. Excuse me. Okay. I think that's it. Is that it? Is that it? Oh, okay. A couple things. Announcements. Tomorrow, Vid Houston, we have an event at Selfie Escape. Hopefully, you guys can make it. It's going to be awesome from 6 to 8:30 p.m. If you need information, DM me. We haven't been promoting it in the Pod Houston group because this is for video content creators. However, if you're a video content creator or a video podcaster, TikToker, etc., come out to Vid Houston tomorrow. It's going to be a Selfie Escape at Memorial City Mall. Really excited about that. So I'll be seeing some of you who RSVP'd there and supporting Vid Houston. And recommend that, or it's highly suggested you join Vid Houston Facebook group as well if you are looking to get into the video game. And also, Pod Houston, my friend, is teaming up with Descript. And if some of you may or may not know Descript, but they are a pretty awesome company that's serving the creator community. They provide audio editing services, video editing services, transcriptions, you can do everything with Descript. A lot of podcasters love what they're doing, and we connected, and they're going to be giving a presentation that's going to be free for the public. So I will be doing an Eventbrite link for you guys because I want to make sure, I kind of want to gauge how many people are going to show up, but it's in the Pod Houston group. So please, if you plan on attending, it's going to be a free event. It's going to be dope. It's going to be about how to automate, how to edit and automate your podcast productivity workflow more efficiently. And it's going to be dope. I'm really, really excited and pumped up about this one. So it's going to be educational. And if you are a podcaster, I think you definitely don't want to miss this one. So check it out for sure. What else? What else is happening here? And then, of course, a little shameless plug. Once again, if you are looking to join an awesome mastermind, one that I dedicate myself to, I hang out with my insiders twice a month for about 4 hours total. Actually, maybe like over 4 hours. We meet up the second Tuesday for a masterclass, and then the last Tuesday we meet up for an accountability session. So they are an awesome group. So head over to podinfluence.com. There's over 12 masterclasses pre-recorded, and yeah, check it out. Love this group. Shout out to Reggie, all the insiders, anybody who watched this. Boom, boom, boom. All right, Alex. Influence, not under the influence. Learn the difference. Thank you, man. Yes. Yes. That's right. Influence. Be a positive influence, not under the influence. I like that. I like what you did there, man. That's right here, dude. That's one of those where you kind of like let it land. You're like, okay, yeah. That's deep, man. That's a profound statement, bro. Love that. And then I thought it was from 1 to 3:30. John G, no, sir. The meetup tomorrow is going to be, I've changed it. Somebody actually notified me because I think something with Facebook events, they'll change the times. Like you'll set it and then they'll change it. It happens like 90% of the time. Don't know why. But no, the meetup tomorrow will be from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., my friend. So hopefully you can still make it at Selfie Escape at Memorial City Mall. DM me. Let me know if you have any questions. But hope to see you there. All right, my friend. I think that is it. How you feeling? Feeling great? Amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're working out, walking the dog, or just at home, just chilling like me. No, not chilling at all. Actually, I've been working, and then after this, I got a couple more calls after. So it's going to be a jam-packed day. But thank you so much for being a part of this live stream. I really, really do appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you soon next Monday. And also, like, I'm open to topics. So if there's anything that you want me to talk about, please DM me. I'm open. I would love to just kind of tackle on some of the topics that you guys that are challenging, or some things that you guys want to vibe with. So let's do that. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much. Have an amazing Monday. Have a great week. Thank you so much for being a part of this live and vibe with Ozil. It's the first of many. And I look forward to seeing you next Monday. All right, guys. Have an amazing week. You are awesome. And you deserve everything you put your mind to. So go ahead and make a ruckus and make an impact on the world. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Peace and one love. I'm out. I need some outro music. I'm out. See you guys.